Welcome back to another episode of Orthodox Down Under. Christ is risen, Christos Anesti. I hope everyone had an amazing Easter, had a joyous time with their family, their friends. And before we get into anything, I just want to thank everyone for their support on this series so far. It's completely unexpected. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say that they saw the podcast. And that's something I honestly expected it to get no attention. I thought people would just tell me to pack it up, leave it there. So to see so many people not just find the podcast, but also find value in it is something very unexpected. I had a good friend of mine who told me that his wife was watching the podcast, who's inquiring into orthodoxy, and that she was sharing it with her friends. So that's something that's completely unexpected, unplanned. Thank you very much. And one last thing before we meet these lovely gentlemen is if you are someone who's Orthodox and Australian, reach out to me. Come up to me, introduce yourself. I want anyone who's Australian, who's Orthodox, who has blessing to come onto the podcast, because you might think your story is just regular. You might think it's boring or cringe, but there's so many other people who have lived similar lives to yourself, faced similar challenges. And if you come on the podcast and just share your story, you don't realize the impact it can make. So with that out the way, I want to hand it over to Jacob to introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Jacob. I'm from Aussies Church in Northcote. I'm a barber from Melbourne, 25 years old. And yeah,
he's actually my barber and he's pretty good. Yeah, cut his hair the other day. So yeah, reach out to him if you want cuts.
Friends of Melbourne.
Gab?
I'm Gabriel, and I also go to Aussies, and I consider myself a bit of a revert as well. And I'm forklift certified, and he's also my barber.
I'm excited for this podcast because so far, I think we've only had one person, two people who were baptized into the Orthodox Church, but we didn't really get much of a conversation going about reverting back to the church. So I'm very curious to hear the perspective of two people who were baptized into the church, the Greek Orthodox Church, and then came back to it. Because a lot of my conversations are with converts, with people who, for the first 10, 20, 30 years of their life or more, never knew about orthodoxy. So I'm very keen to get into that. But the most interesting thing I have to ask is the Mount Athos trip. So yeah. I want to get right into it, lads. So Jacob, you want to start us off with what led you guys to want to travel to Mount Athos? And also for the listeners at home who have never heard of Mount Athos, what is this wild place?
All right, so Mount Athos is a leg on the peninsula of Halkidiki, the third leg too. And pretty much everyone wants to go. As soon as you hear about it, you see the monks on Instagram, you see it on YouTube, everyone wants to go. And me too. Straight out. I saw YouTube videos. Everyone has told me about it. People have, Father George, he also went to Mount Athos as well, and plenty of other priests that we know. You want to be a part of it. You want to see, you just want to experience everything. And for us, I simply just spoke to Father George from Thomastown, and he got us in touch with Yolanda Antipas, and we went there right after we went to Constantinople or Istanbul first, and then we went to Mount Athos second.
What made you decide to go to Constantinople first?
To see the Patriarchate.
Makes sense. And how was that?
The Patriarchate is beautiful. It's like a very special place. Very interesting though. I wasn't expecting half the stuff there.
What weren't you expecting?
I wasn't expecting. It was like an airport security before you got in. Just got
okay.
Be ready, guys. We went to Liturgy, and that was for the Transfiguration of our Lord. And it was really cool because you're in a place, especially with Turkey, everyone's speaking Turkish. I don't understand Turkish. I barely understand Greek. But yeah. It felt good once I finally went into Patriarchate and they spoke Greek to me. And I was just
back at home.
This is amazing. Finally, something.
What is the place of Constantinople in the Orthodox Church?
So Constantinople is the new Rome. It was where one of our patriarchs sit, the ecumenical patriarch Bartholomew.
And it's one of the 5 patriarchal sees. And it's a very, me, when I was first introduced to Orthodoxy, Constantinople was this place I've never heard before. It was like this magical city. In the modern world, it's just Turkey. It's just this part in Europe that's kind of unknown to the Western minds. But then as you look in church history and you see that the church has history, and you see that these places are very important places, and that Constantinople was a major spot of orthodoxy. It was called the New Rome. And that, this place, if you want to understand Christianity, you got to understand Christianity, the history of Christianity. And so it's so beautiful that you guys got to go visit there. And I'm very jealous. And so you go to Constantinople, Gab, and then what's the travel like? Because this is something I hear very often. You don't just go to Mount Athos, you don't just go to the monasteries and go to the spiritual life, but even getting there is a whole experience in and of itself.
It was a journey in itself because, where it's more anticipation. So we're all like, what's this going to be like? And the journey, we're kind of on the edge of our seat. We're on our toes. We're wondering what it's going to be like. Every step there, from the taxi trips to everything, it was quite like,
it was a bit surreal. Like,
almost,
we're actually doing this.
You're like, oh my God, like this is it. Like we're doing it.
You let these three goofballs go global.
Pretty much. No, pretty much. Because we also went with our friend John.
Yes.
And
he should be sitting here.
He should be, yes. And it was just surreal. And even beforehand, we were told not to go in with expectations.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I imagine that's quite common. People, they read the stories, the miracles, the books. They're like, I'm off to some fairy tale land. So they get there and they're like...
People full go there and they're like, I'm going to see Bunny here.
Yeah.
Wow.
You shouldn't really go there miracle hunting.
Yeah. Which is an important aspect of orthodoxy.
Correct.
You're not in it for the miracles.
Correct. And even getting there and arriving, it was very simple. And there is almost something beautiful about the simplicity on Mount Athos.
Yeah. So you take the taxi to the border?
We took the taxi to
Udanopoly,
which is like a place where people usually stay beforehand, and then that's where the boats are booked.
Yeah. And are the boats packed, or is it
100?
Well, our one wasn't that packed. We had a speedboat.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So how long was the travel from the place where you get on the boat all the way to Mount Athos?
40 minutes?
Maybe an hour plus.
No, that's the normal boats.
Okay, so almost an hour. Yeah. And are there other monks on this boat as well, just chilling there?
Yes.
I met a Ukrainian one, a Ukrainian priest on there.
Wow. And is there a main port that everyone gets off to get onto Mount Athos, or is there multiple?
There's a few. The one that we got off was Daphne.
Okay.
And obviously, Father Theodosio from Aya Anas, he picked us up. It was really surreal because we just got off and I'm looking everywhere. I'm like, how are we going to find him?
Yeah. So interesting. And how did you find him then?
He found us. He just walked right up to me. He was like, Jacob. And I'm like, fuck.
That's really good to hear because I know it reminds me of one story. I know this is completely different, but it was the story of Saint Joseph the Hesychist. And as he gets to Mount Athos, his spiritual father just finds him. So I'm not calling you guys Saint Joseph the Hesychist, by the way.
By no means are we even close.
So that is very cool to hear. And so you get to the islands, you get off your port, and the monk who's there to take care of you, he seemingly finds you guys, guided by the Pania. And then what does the next couple weeks look like? How long did you stay there for?
Just 5 nights.
5 nights.
Well, we started driving up the mountain with Father Theodosio, and there was also another priest. He was from North Macedonia, and he had better English. I had really good English for someone. I just wasn't expecting it. And we sort of started driving, and we were just not, even the drive we weren't prepared for. This thing was just going up and down.
Because traditionally there were no cars on Mount Athos, let alone roads, of course. So I imagine everything is very new, and even when there are roads, it's all very the bare minimum.
It's like gravel and rocks. Even big rocks you got to go over.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail, of course, because it's a very personal, private, spiritual experience. But if there are any highlights which you two are comfortable to share of the Mount Athos trip. So you get to island.
Yeah.
And what's like the monastery you're staying at? Is it just like what you expected? Is it
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. I honestly had no idea what to expect. Basically, it was the best way to describe it. Like, we're driving for, I don't know, an hour or so. We get to this place, like, with a gorgeous view. It just reminded me of, like, if you're a Greek, come from a Greek background, like your grandmother's house on a mountain, and it's just so simple, quiet. You know, you can hear the nature. It wasn't something I was expecting, and it's not something I've ever actually experienced properly. And
had you been to a monastery prior to this?
Not to this caliber.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to visit Geelong Monastery.
Yeah, of course.
When I was younger, but nothing of like
yeah. Let alone staying there.
Correct.
That, of course, is a
correct.
woman's monastery.
Correct. And, you know, I go there and they show us around the rooms, and they have like basically like a church in a room.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The church, the chapel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just stood there.
Like in the center of a building, kind of.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And we basically just stood there for a few minutes, silence. Like you can hear a pin drop.
Just like taking it in.
Taking it in, literally. And things like that is just surreal.
Yeah.
You can't actually explain it. It's I'm not sure what saint said this, but like trying to explain the feeling of like things like that is like trying to catch air with a net. Like you can't.
Yeah.
Like you can't describe.
It's a flying pig.
Yeah. Like you can't describe the sweetness of honey to somebody.
Yeah.
Unless like they have to taste it themselves.
Yeah.
And
I really like that. That's a really good way to put it, because that's something I'm learning in my spiritual journey. And you know, coming from a very Western rationalistic background, you know, I always want to like put everything in a box.
yeah.
But what you just said right there, you know, you can't explain the sweetness of honey until you really try it.
Exactly
And
right.
if that's not like what orthodoxy is, then I don't know what is. And that's what makes it so beautiful, is that it's experience first. You know, as much as we want to be able to put all that orthodoxy is into a book or into a box so we can just so easily know what it is, on the other hand, if that was the case, there wouldn't be things like Mount Athos.
Exactly right.
There wouldn't be things like pilgrimages and seeking out a spiritual elder. So you definitely put it very well there. What are some highlights for you, Jacob?
So when we were there, one of my highlights was the first or second day we actually got to go to Aussies.
Oh, wow.
Mount Athos.
Yeah. For those who won't know that connection, explain.
So Aussies is our church in Northcote, like through the icon, Aussies. We actually got to go to the original one, like in Mount Athos next to Cradles.
Do you know the story of the icon?
Yes, an angel came and then told.
Yeah.
And then the monk was like.
And Axion Estin in English means it is truly meet. Yeah. So it's like a hymn. I dabbled into the story. I think it's 10th or 11th century. Some monk received like a visitation from an angel, and it's a hymn given to the Holy Mother of God. And the church we go to in Northcote is named after it, and it's the most beautiful, humongous icon. So I imagine that would have been a very, very cool moment seeing the church.
That's the thing. After the liturgy, and keep in mind, one of the biggest struggles on Mount Athos, well, for me, was staying awake.
Wow.
Especially in liturgy, because you're starting at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's pitch black in some of those churches. Like,
yeah, and what's that like? So you get to, I imagine you get to the monastery you're staying at. The monk shows you to your rooms.
Oh, so the monastery that we stayed at, it wasn't really a monastery. It was like was it gili or skate?
Yeah, like a skate. Just like a little smaller
one, and it stems off Ividon, the monastery. And when we were there, obviously there was like guest houses. We got put into like one with like 3 bedrooms. 3 beds in the room, and pretty much we're there. He's like, all right, you guys are going to Aussies tomorrow. Wake up at 4:30 to get there at 5.
There'll be monks to pick us up.
Yeah, okay. So you get taken to where the chapel is. Wow. Yeah, that would be interesting.
We got taken to the church right next to it, like in Gadies. It's like a city there. It's not like really a city. It's like a town.
What goes through your head when that alarm goes off at like 4 a.m.? Is it like, wow, this is really happening?
Let's go.
We're doing this. Yeah, let's go. They're waiting. Pretty much.
And then our mate's just sitting there like, oh.
Pretty much.
And then you get in the car and you get transported to the chapel.
Yeah.
And were there many people?
Well, yeah, it was full. It was like a normal church service, like full of monks, pilgrims, and everything. And then keep in mind, when we had to sit down, like we venerated the icons. The monks showed us like quickly, like there's like a few icons at the front, venerate them, then go find your seat at the back because the front's where the monks would be as well. And that's where it was actually pitch black. And I'm sitting there trying my hardest not to sleep because we're already jet lagged.
Yeah.
And apparently that's like someone explained to me they're like a novice. He's like, that's actually one of the like spiritual warfares there is staying awake in liturgy there.
Yeah.
And because you're so excited, you want to be there, but then also you're so dead because you couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
And
what you're doing isn't also the most like, in like a worldly manner, it's not the most, what's the word? Like it doesn't really get you going. Like you're just like you're it's not stimulating. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not the most stimulating thing in the world.
Yeah,
like you're already tired. You're in a dark room, and then you hear the chanting that kind of puts you at ease.
And it's quite quiet at times.
Yeah,
sometimes there's no talking that you can hear at least. So I can only imagine. And that was for 5 mornings straight.
Pretty much, except there's a few that we just got to stay at where we were, just going to the church, like in the middle of the. I'll explain it. Like imagine like an old mansion.
Yeah. Okay.
But like there's a church right in the middle.
Yeah.
Like in a room.
Yeah. Did you get much free time?
Yeah.
Yes, we definitely did. Yeah.
And it was very good. I had a journal with me. I'd like to sit in a journal. But the thing is, I did the big no of Mount Athos. I expected something. I wanted quiet because as a barber, you don't really get quiet, like especially in my shop. And the one thing I wanted at Mount Athos is quiet, and I couldn't get it.
You went to the quietest place in the world.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised. I wanted to go on the balcony, beautiful view, and then I've got like an old man named Yorgo and Gerasim, like
just having a chat.
Pavlo and Yorgo just chatting with their wives, like on speaker.
Not even chatting with each other, just chatting with the wives.
Yeah.
And what's ironic about that is this is a place where there is no woman.
Yeah.
Because no women are allowed.
Yeah.
Yet these men have found a workaround to speak with their wives.
No, but they're literally just having it. It's because it's their free time too.
Yeah, of course.
But literally just like, I'm just sitting there trying to journal and then literally, Jacob, and I looked at him and I'm like, I'm thinking he already knows. I'm like, Australia, which is like, Jacob, where are you from? And then I looked at him like, Australia? And then he's like, oh, he's in Alada. Like, no, like, we're in Greece, basically.
Yep.
And then I told him, somehow, always, whenever you speak to a Greek in Greece, they've always got a family member they know.
I knew where that was going.
Just where your family's from.
Yeah. Oh, my auntie. Oh, my cousin.
And I said, like, Kasuria, Kilkis, and then also money. And he's like, oh, Kasuria, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know someone there. And I'm just like, awesome, man. I want some silence.
Cool. Now leave me alone.
But that's my problem. I looked for it and I didn't get it. But it's also my, like self too. Like if you're not still yourself, you can't expect everything else to be still.
Yeah. Did you run into any Greek men, Gabriel, that knew your family? Or for you, did you find silence?
No, I didn't find any Greek men that knew my family, number one. Number two, the opposite. So when I actually arrived to Mount Athos, I actually had an influx of anxiety because just questioning. I'm a bit of an overthinker.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So I texted my spiritual father and I just let him know, like, hey, I'm just letting you know I've arrived safely. This is what I'm going through. Is this normal? He said yes. Very normal.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
That you had your spiritual father on standby.
Yeah, exactly. And because I feel like it's like a bit of an Orthodox canon event where at least once in our lives we question, is the monastic life for us? So I wasn't going into Mount Athos thinking, okay, I'm going to become a monk or whatever. I was just thinking, if it happens, I'll be open to it. And then as soon as I sent that text, my spiritual father said, the monastic life is not for you. You are a tourist. Treat it like a tourist. So that immediately put a stop to that.
Yeah.
Obey your spiritual father at all means. So that was cool. And then I was just, questioning the decisions in my life. Are they the right ones? And he says, You never make the right decisions. Just make the wrong decisions into right decisions. And because when you go to a place like that, you think and you think and you think, and sometimes thinking is not a good thing. Like overthinking, at least. So I didn't actually get the silence. Not that I thought I was going to get silence, but you know.
I mean, you went to Mount Athos. I'd be thinking I'm getting silenced if I go anywhere.
Exactly,
yeah.
but
Case in point, I thought so. Didn't you?
well, Saint Porphyrios achieved silence in the middle of the busiest part of Greece,
which is an awesome story, which I want to
Yeah.
share, and I want to make sure we're on the right story, where he was helping out a hospital at the time, and then he was doing services, but there's always loud music.
Yes.
Yeah. There was always someone on the other side of the road or whatever who was playing loud, not just any music, but it was obscene music as well. And he's angry, he's mad. You know, he's doing the liturgy, and this person wants to play music at, you know, the time where liturgy should be done. And like he prayed and prayed about it. And then I think the message from God was to not try and get that music to go away, but to kind of outdo it.
Yeah.
You know, the energy and the power of the divine liturgy, of the music and the prayers should be so powerful that it overwhelms all that we don't want to hear, which is just a whole spiritual message in and of itself. But what you just shared right there was really powerful, and I just want to touch on it for a moment. First, having a spiritual father who you can just ask kind of white and black questions to, yes or no questions.
Pretty
Is
much.
the monastic life for me or not?
No, I didn't even ask him. That was the thing.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
I didn't even ask him.
But he just immediately said,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The monastic life's not for you. You're a tourist.
yeah, which is extremely powerful, and most people have nothing like that in their life. Most people do not have someone in their life who may know, because I imagine your spiritual father knew what would go through your head. You know, he's probably dealt with so many young men who have been in Mount Athos, and he already knows what's going through their head, let alone he knows you personally. And so being able to immediately shut down those thoughts, which may have otherwise, you know, been in the way of experiencing it, is very powerful. And so that's something I'm learning a lot in my journey to Orthodoxy, is just how important spiritual fathers are. Like, it's everything.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Everything. And when you really think about it, it's something we all need. We all need someone there who can just kind of guide us in every way possible, and not just anyone, because this is very powerful. Before I came to Orthodoxy, you know, I have this worldview that without Orthodoxy, we still know we're made for Orthodoxy, and so we try and like get what Orthodoxy does, but in like a worldly sense. So what do I mean? I was looking into like mentors and coaches and spiritual guides, all of these things which we know we're made for, and when we step into the truth Orthodoxy, we're given. But when you don't have Orthodoxy, you try to find all those other things. So anyone out there who's new to Orthodoxy, who's converting to Orthodoxy, you should have a spiritual father. If not, go and get yourself a spiritual father. And it is the most beautiful experience having someone there who is on that same spiritual connection as you. You do the 5 nights at Mount Athos. Did you get to a point towards the end where you're like, all right, I'm done with this? Or were you like, hey, I wouldn't mind another couple weeks?
A bit of both, actually, because that was my first time going to Greece as well. So I was so like keen to see more, but then also at the same time I'm like, damn, we're leaving.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I always like every now and then, like pretty much all the time, I always think about Mount Athos now. And I'm like, damn, could really go for 2 weeks, or could really go for this, or oh, I'd be mad to go soon. It would be really cool to go on this feast day. Like it's just constant. Once you go, and once you come back, you just, for me that is, I don't know about everyone else, but I just every week there's like, that's my Roman Empire.
Let's talk about Mount Athos.
Literally.
Yeah. And what I'm really curious about, one of the biggest inspirations for me of coming to Orthodoxy was the saints. And like every single one of them was like a Athonite saint, like Saint Paisios, Saint Porphyrios, Saint Silouan the Athonite. Were you there and like, wow, these men who I've read their stories, their lives, they're in like the same kind of place as me? Was that kind of like surreal to know that you were reading about the stories of saints and now you're in their place?
Yeah, quite literally. Like, it's interesting because when we'd go around as well, the monks would ask us, like, who are you with? And I'd just be like, oh, Yoronda Antipa. And they'd be like, oh, like, really good. Like, oh, that's good. Stick with him, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just like, oh, cool. But then it's just, you hear it all the time. Oh, this Yuranda did that. This Yuranda did this. Like, it's like they're there, they know what they're doing. They've been there for how long? They've lived the life. They've had every situation you could think of. Like, it's the people there. Like, whether we know them, whether we don't. Like, they could be in the next 50 years. Like the saints that we have,
which is surreal to think about.
Yeah.
Because all the saints we have today, they were kind of just like, you know, as respectfully as possible, just like normal kind of blokes.
Yeah.
You know, like 50 years ago, they were just at Mount Athos. They were in the position of people like, and this is something I'm learning in Orthodoxy, not to take away any credit to them, but they were very normal people. They had normal lives, you know, just humans. And I think this is something I have to catch myself sometimes, is you very much think that they had it different, you know, where it's no, if anything, they had it so much worse.
Yeah.
And we're in the world so much more. And that should just be more of inspiration. Do I get it right?
Pretty much. Like, it's funny because a lot of people, this is just what I've experienced as well. A lot of people I've heard like, oh, we live in the worst times. We live in this time. And I'm just like, you could be right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but dude, they used to get killed for wearing a cross that we wear all the time.
Yeah, that we're afraid to wear now.
Like,
They got killed for making the sign of the cross, and now we're ashamed to make the sign of the cross.
exactly. And not only that, like a lot of people wear it as a fashion statement nowadays. And like that, hey, me too at some stage, yeah. Like, I wasn't always in the church, but it's like you know what I mean? I saw this meme.
Yep.
And I thought it was the funniest thing ever. It's like me explaining 6'7" to a 2nd century martyr that got killed for a cross.
Yeah. That's a contrast and a half.
Yeah.
And I imagine that was a moment for both of you when you're in Mount Athos. Was like, wow, like this is really real, you know, because I'm actually here now. And yeah, God willing, one day I'll get to go there and, you know, go there for silence and find out. And I think I remember, I hope it was you who said this, but you learnt that silence was found in the heart.
Yeah.
Not dependence.
And prayer.
And prayer.
Especially then. That's I could say, with Mount Athos, besides the liturgy, prayer was the time of my silence.
Yeah.
And I overlooked that, and that's why, like, I'm telling people, every single person I can, don't expect anything.
Would you say the same, Gab?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go in simple. And this reminded me actually of something where I like took the moment for granted and didn't know it was actually a beautiful moment until months after I came back. I caught up with one of my friends and they were asking me, oh, you went to Mount Athos, how beautiful. Did you see any invisible people there? And I'm like, invisible people? Like, it's not Hogwarts. And they're like, no, like people that are so secluded from everyone that all they do is like the bare minimum. They're not seen. Like, they're basically invisible people. Like
hermits.
Yeah, basically. And we were having lunch or dinner in the kitchen, and then we're eating with all of us and our Yeronda, and out of nowhere, the hermit that we were told about, like the whole time, oh yeah, Michali, oh yeah, we'd never seen him, and he never shows his face. Out of nowhere, just appeared in the kitchen, and he was just from behind, and he was just talking. Oh yeah, I didn't really understand Greek. It was something about doing chores, and I just remember like looking like, where did he come from? And then like he just left, but I just thought that was at the time, just such like a random moment. But reflecting on it now, like that man, he looked dirty, you know, his robe was dirty.
Like blue robe, like white t-shirt.
But that was just reflecting on it, such a holy thing and a holy person, because he lives so simply and barely wants to be even seen.
Yeah, wow.
And, you know, that is...
So you did see an invisible person?
I saw an invisible person.
Yeah. I thought he was just asking whether you've seen ghosts.
No.
Yeah. Well, that was a wholesome turn.
Yeah.
Gab, if there's anyone who's interested in monasticism, not necessarily to become a monk, but just to go and stay at a monastery, go and visit Mount Athos, what is one advice, one tip you'd give that you wish you could go back to your former self before you went to Mount Athos and tell them?
It should be a calling. It shouldn't be a backup plan. I think a lot of
To become a monk in and of itself.
Yes. I think a lot of people put unnecessary pressure on themselves, and they say, okay, I want to be married, or I want this. Oh, if it doesn't work out, I'll become a monk. That's not the way to. You should be running to monasticism. You should be wanting to do it. And speak to your spiritual father. Of
course.
They know you. They know whether it's suited for you, or they know whether the world is for you. There are even priests that wanted to be monks, and their spiritual father said, "No, your job is to serve, in the world." It's a very serious matter, and people also think the monastic life is easy. Oh, I don't have to. I don't have to.
Just read a couple of books of the lives of saints, and you'll be like, "Why in the world would you want to be a monk?"
Exactly right. A monk said, your calling is to either be a parent, or to be a parent in marriage, or to be monastic.
Yeah, I think it's St. Posios in his councils. He always pushes young people down two routes. Either you're there to, fully devote yourself to Christ by leaving the world and being a monk, or you're there to marry someone. And it's those two routes.
And both are as hard as each other.
Yeah. And this is something that, I heard once from a non-Orthodox and I didn't like. I want to call it out, is this idea that monasticism is holier than marriage, or that marriage is holier than monasticism. It's a very black and white kind of approach, whereas really God has a will for everyone. And what really the holiest thing is just following God. If that means you go and become married, or if that means you go and become a monk, well, that's for God to decide. Gab, same question. Anything that you wish you could go back to your former self and give advice to?
That's Jacob.
Jacob. I've had a long day, guys.
Well, funny enough as well, for me, pack linen pants. It gets hot.
Pack linen pants.
I'm not even joking. Just pack light.
Yeah.
All right. Do everything your Yonda says. That's there. Just don't.
Yep. The spiritual father looking after you. Do everything.
Not even whoever's housing you. Just listen to them.
Yep.
Don't go at night. Don't go for a random walk at night. Once lights are out, go to your room. Stay there. Because it's a mountain, and it's there's wolves, bears.
Yep.
There is wildlife there too, and they're just observe, take your time, and just enjoy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you very much, both of you, for sharing your stories on Mount Athos. God willing, that will inspire some people to explore monasticism. And you don't have to approach monasticism as this okay, now I've got to become a monk or a nun. It's purely, I came back from St. Anthony's, and this is in Arizona, and this is pilgrims everywhere. People who aren't there to become a monk or nun, maybe some, but just for that spiritual oasis. Because sometimes you do need to leave the world for a bit,
of course,
to get your life together.
Yeah.
More and more today, especially. Yeah. Let's move on to your journeys. Okay, so Jacob, baptized into the Greek Orthodox Church.
Yep.
And what is it like being raised in the Greek Orthodox Church?
I wouldn't know. Wasn't there?
You weren't raised?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm learning here.
A little bit of backstory. My dad's a bit more atheistic. Mum we always went once a year on Good Friday. Went that's pretty much it. And it was really just to see family. That's how it used to be. And I look back at that always, and I'm just thinking, fair enough. It happens. If you're not really taught, you'll go looking for exactly what you said before. You look for orthodox things in it, in the world as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much I would go every Good Friday, do the procession around, and I'd dip. Wouldn't even go back into the church.
How old were you at this age?
From young to 23. 2023 is when I came to church. That's when I met Father Philip at Northcote.
In those years, let's say from 16 to 23, what's going through your head regarding what you're doing when you go every Good Friday? Is this just a cultural tradition? Is it just something Greeks do?
Look, you get sort of caught up with life, especially outside. We were obviously 17, 18, we're finishing high school. I just looked at it as oh, cool, I get to see my second cousins I'll never see. Yeah. And then later, I'd try I'd sometimes go to the Saturday night like a Narcissi service, but then unfortunately I was one of those people that left right after Christos Anesti. And now I know, but obviously back then I didn't know. One of the first lines after Christos Anesti chant is "Let all those who hate Christ depart." I'm not even
Say that
joking.
again?
It's like a whole few lines, and it's like "Let all those who hate Christ depart." Something along those lines.
So after you do the Christ is risen service that night,
the chant,
and then before you do now the liturgy,
it
says "Let all those who hate Christ depart."
Something along those lines. I'm just paraphrasing, but it's literally like
I think it's arise, let your enemies be scattered, let all those that hate you flee from before your face.
There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is it in
that's
this
the chant
manner
of
of speaking to the people who are all about to leave, or is this just something that was already part of the liturgy?
It was part of the liturgy.
Yeah, but it kind of lines
But
up
like
to when
when
a
the
lot of
priests
people leave,
read that, and usually that's roughly the same time people leave,
they all
which is
scatter.
really scary.
yeah, it's sad. They say
It's actually
thing
sad.
to
Like
say.
it actually is, because you just experience the joy of finally chanting Christos Anesti,
Yeah.
and then they will leave. And
Yeah.
I was again one of those people. So now that I know, that's when I look back and I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah. And just to preface all of this, when we look to people who don't take orthodoxy seriously, it's not that we're so much better than them. The first will be last. It's more so that we know how amazing the church is.
Yeah.
And it's a hospital where we are the sickest. And we know just how much has changed our lives, which we'll get into. And so it brings us much sorrow to see people who don't see that. And then we pray that God helps them. So I just want to preface, whenever in this podcast or just this conversation we talk about people who aren't as orthodox as we are, it's not that we're so much better. It's that a lot of these people just don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's not even that. It's more I see my old self in them as well. Like, and I'm just like, that's what I'm more like, because like I said, I was that person who left right then, not knowing as well.
Yeah.
But to even have the care to even look into it, it was just not there.
Yeah. Like
And-
most people just don't know the importance of Holy Communion.
Yeah. Well, what we were saying before about spiritual fathers, you know how many people that come to church and don't have a spiritual father?
Yep.
They just don't see the point of confession.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is what I also think this podcast is good for, like to bring those light to that thing as well.
Yeah. Not so that the church can say how terrible you are, but so that Christ can enter your life and help you out. I mean, look, if you don't think you need help, by all means, but I speak for myself. I imagine you guys are the same, where, we struggle with sin and we're not perfect. And so as we come into the church, we confess, we take Holy Communion, we have a spiritual father, we slowly, by God's grace, get a bit better. And it's the most amazing thing ever. Okay, and so what changes then?
So I also used to party. I used to go to raves. Like, I used to do that stuff
Where
too.
they have the shirt off and they're going,
No, not like
No,
that.
not like that.
I was clothed. Thank
Yeah,
God. But my point is, I used to go to those things and I used to just be like, who cares, whatever. But then there was one that actually changed everything. I was already thinking about Christ for roughly a month. And I go to this rave and I just look around and something changed. I was just like, it's not for me anymore. Like, I see red lights, lasers, smoke, those flames on the stage, and people just look dead. That's what I noticed. They just looked dead. And I just looked at, it was like existential moment of what the hell am I doing here? Like, why this life isn't for me?
What pushed you to go to these raves? Was it just friends?
It could have been friends, just was pure boredom. I wonder about that sometimes too. But it's what I used to go to, what I experienced. There was nothing fruitful in that, in my eyes. Went to the rave, all good, but felt even more empty than before. So when I finally decided that's it, changed, started looking into Christ as well and the church.
What's pushing you to look into Christ? Because you mentioned about a month before this rave, you were just thinking about Christ.
Literally just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it and started sort of looking into it. And the thing is as well, the Orthodox Church, it's not, until now it's a lot of it is online now, but before it wasn't really. So I was just watching these random Protestants. I'm like,
course.
yep, Christianity, let's go. But to
Yeah.
me, the church was just, oh yeah, I'll just go into the Greek church because I'm Greek.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, and then, funny enough, 1 month later, I spoke to our other friend John and Gab, and I'm like, "Hey boys, have you been thinking about Christ at all?" And lo and behold, they were for a month as well.
Wow.
That like shocked me.
Let's just
I still
emphasize
think about
that.
it.
So
For a whole
you
month.
three who
Yeah.
all met in high school, correct?
Yeah, 10 years we've been friends as a
Okay.
three.
So this is a trio of friends who high school know each
Yeah.
other lots. I imagine share a lot of similar hobbies, interests, and then you go to them and you say, "Hey boys, have you been thinking about Christ?"
Yeah,
And you're like, "Yeah."
for a month.
What's
Have
that like
you?
from your perspective?
Yeah, equally as shocked because it was during COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
23. No, just after.
Yeah, like slightly
yeah.
after COVID, like towards the end of it. It was just a shock, like because yes, we were all baptized, we all Greek, we all shared the same traditions and all that, but so we did have that as a base, but for us at the exact same time to roughly been having all of our minds pointed to that direction, it still is unexplainable.
Yeah, it's a miracle
It's-
right there.
Don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it.
And then after pretty much, I was just still looking through it, and then I realized the mati, like the evil eye that a lot of Greeks have.
The blue thing.
Yeah, I had it in my car. My parents got it for me from Greece, and I looked at it. I'm like, I shouldn't have this. Like, this is not from Christ. Anyway, I called up a few churches. Like, I think, just a few around the area, and funny enough, Father Philip answered from Northgate.
How many years ago is this?
2023, so nearly 3 years.
3 years ago, yep.
He wasn't even ordained yet.
Yeah. Was
a
he still deacon?
Yeah, he was a deacon at the bookshop. Like, I met him. Like, I didn't even realize because he said to me, "I'm gonna be the new priest here," and me not knowing, I just thought he was the priest. Like,
Yeah.
and I bought a cross. As I walked out, had a good look at the bookshop, and he's like, "Hey, can I have your number?" And I got a bit weirded out because I'm like, "Why does the priest want my number?" And I'm like, "You know what? Sure." Because I also told him a little bit too, like, I've been away, but I want to come back. He's like, "Come for coffee or we'll have a chat, this, that." And a few weeks after, every single Monday, we had a chat. And now I'm,
That is awesome.
yeah,
And I had no idea about that.
yeah,
So Father Philip was actually the one who really said, "Hey."
yeah. He literally said, "Come and
Yeah.
see."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he invited you for coffee. And, let's touch on that for a second. Believe it or not, but a lot of Orthodox priests are real human beings who you can approach, who want to know you, who are very busy, who have a lot on their shoulders, a lot of things that we don't see, but still love everyone and especially love their flock. And so if you're someone born Orthodox or not, Greek or not, if you go to a Greek Orthodox church, such as Northgate, for example, and you call up the number and get in contact with Father Philip, and you ask to sit down with them, believe it or not, they won't turn you away. Just because you sit down with an Orthodox priest, just because you enter an Orthodox church, does not mean you've now completely committed to the Orthodox lifestyle. Doesn't mean that you immediately have to go get baptized, confess, and completely go away from everything else that you probably shouldn't be doing. It's just one small step that may not lead anywhere, but there's nothing to lose. Is there anything you want to say to anyone out there, Jacob, who may be in a similar, there's so many people who are Greek, Eastern European, born into the church, and then just kind of view it as a cultural tradition. Anything you want to say to them?
Well, a lot of people think church people are just like, how do you even explain it? Like, the stigma that people have about church people is A, that they judge you, B, that they're like sort of nerdy, and C, that they just sort of stick to themselves. It's like, I used to think that too, but as soon as I got there, everything changed. Like, they're normal people, they're just trying to do better. We make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we're there.
Yeah. And that's true. That's very important.
Yeah.
But it's also true that there's going to be people who aren't very good. There's going to be people who maybe you don't find them on their best day, but you don't then use that as a representation of orthodoxy.
Correct.
Okay, there's the
Yeah.
Orthodox faith, and then there's people trying to follow that Orthodox faith. And the people trying to follow that faith don't equal the Orthodox faith. Now, as much as we'd like all the people following the Orthodox faith to be Orthodox, it's St. Posios. He asks a group of young men, who are the enemies of Orthodoxy? They say the Catholics, the Protestants, the atheists, the Muslims. He's like, no. The enemy of the Orthodox Christians, St. Posios says, are Orthodox Christians.
Literally. And it's literally like, come and see. Like, you'll see that, like, we have initiatives all the time. We have youth group. We have, like, fellowship. We have dancing on Mondays. We have Greek classes too. My Greek's atrocious. Yeah.
It's a community. It's
we
a
have
living organism.
something for everyone. Like economia. Like literally, we have something for
Father
everyone.
Philip started adult classes recently.
Yeah.
If you're aged 30 to 65, I know this podcast gets a lot of older people's. I don't mean to go as old, but if you're aged 30 to 65, Father Philip in Northgate, and I saw a picture last night, pretty packed out. There's a lot of adults who want orthodoxy, who may have reverted to orthodoxy. I'm meeting a lot of converts who are adults, who are like in their 50s, 60s, 70s. I always hear that as an adult, it's hard to make friends. Come along to an Orthodox adult group and boom, you have something in common. Orthodox Christianity, probably the most beautiful thing to have in common with someone else. So if you're out there, come and visit an Orthodox church. Doesn't have to be the Greek Orthodox church. Find the one that's closest to you. Eastern Orthodox, call up the priest. Don't just stop at the first church. Now, I find a lot of people who call up their closest Orthodox church, maybe don't have the best experience, maybe the priest is very busy that day, and boom, it's done. Go to the next Orthodox church. Go to the next Orthodox church. You will find your people. God will help you. I'm very curious, Jacob, what were the conversations you were having with Father Philip?
Literally, whatever question I had, he just sat there and answered. And keep in mind, I watched 2 months worth of weird, like American Protestant or evangelical Christianity, and I've just had I just had no clue. What are the saints? Who is the Virgin Mary? I'm literally from zero. I had no clue. He just sat there and answered. That's the thing. He gave me the time, and now we're there all the time.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
And were you expecting that, or were you expecting this priest to just blindly believe? What was going through your head? Was it finally someone who knows what they're talking about and is willing?
No, I just said, thank God, finally a priest that spoke English. No, it's just, I don't know, it's because Father Philip's also young. I'm 25, he's 29 now.
He's the youngest priest in our diocese.
Is he?
I don't know, I'm asking you.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But it's just more finally a young one can speak English too, and it's just took the time back then because we didn't have those initiatives back then.
No.
But now I've seen those initiatives come as well, and I've seen people curious, and it's easy for stuff that it took me weeks to understand. It took in one youth group.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's just
and
the growth.
Let's touch on that because this is something Father Philip taught me during my own catechism because he was the one who catechized me. He said that before our archbishop, that the church was very different.
Yeah.
And there weren't priests speaking English. There weren't catechisms in English. If you were someone like myself who doesn't speak Greek, who are those half Greek, wasn't raised in that culture whatsoever, wanting to join the church, it was extremely difficult. So if you're someone out there who was baptized into the Greek Orthodox Church maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, and your last experience was not very good, know that it's changed. Know that there's priests now like Father Philip who speak amazing English.
Yeah.
Who understand what it means to live in Australia, what it means to face the temptations of a modern Western country, and then how to navigate through the terrible suffering and challenge of trying to hold on to the Orthodox faith. Know that exists. And these men are approachable. They want to hear your story. They want to ask your questions. They aren't just going to tell you to just shut up and close your eyes and believe. They will answer your questions. There are catechisms, I believe, 4 times a year at Northgates. This is just the Greek Orthodox Church. I know there's catechisms all over in the Eastern Orthodox community in Melbourne in English, and they will go through everything. This isn't a faith of blindly closing your eyes. Although we fully recognize that humility is an important part of orthodoxy, it's also a faith where you get to see that there's actual explanation.
And even the fact that I didn't speak much Greek, and I still don't speak the best, but and there's a whole thing about now with the Archbishop and, you know, Greek in services. Look, I've been there like for nearly 3 years now, and with the Greek that's spoken in liturgies, slowly, I'm getting used to it, and I know when to, like, what's happening in the liturgy, what's being said, and there is books as well for that. And although before my first thought was finally a priest that didn't only speak Greek, now I still appreciate, like, even the older fathers that only speak Greek. Now I'm kicking up more of a conversation with them, just simply learning each time, whether it be about saints, the Greek language, liturgy, just it's that small steps is what truly makes, like, what I think like a great change as well. And it's what made, like, me constantly trying to go back to the church.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's a whole journey, it's a whole experience. And yeah, I mean, the Greek in, you know, just to touch on this controversial topic, look, I believe that every language is beautiful, and no one should have to be refrained from exploring a faith based on language. But then there's also real historical, cultural, like, events, facts. The bottom line is that today there are a lot of still first generation Eastern European migrants who only know a certain language, who make up the majority of a lot of churches. And so, hey, the church needs to fulfill the needs of its local people. And one thing I want to touch on, and this is kind of going back to my previous podcast with Reg, is how the Greek is extremely a core part of the liturgy, and how it doesn't then mean that there shouldn't be English liturgies, but it doesn't mean we throw out the Greek liturgy. Do any of you want to touch on the importance of the Greek language in the liturgy? Not in this nationalistic sense.
Greek was just the common language of the time.
Yep.
It's just simply that. Like, it's the English of today.
Yep.
But there's words in Greek, like, you just can't really get with English. Like, there's 7 words for love in Greek.
Yeah.
Like, different loves.
Yeah. And that's just for the word love.
Yeah.
Imagine everything else.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes now, like, obviously most people will know the context, but if I said, hey, I love you to my brother, like, people will know it's family. But if I said I love you to my mate, like, they're just gonna. Some people may turn and be like, "What?"
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. Like, for that, like, obviously in Greek we have like philimor, like philia, love. Like, that's a friendship love. So that's like just a little taste of, like, it is a lot more, like, helpful and descriptive, and also it just brings us back to like 2,000 years ago, even 1,500 years ago. If we can speak the Greek now, and then bring it back to then, like, we still have that connection. That's something that you can say, you know what, I know biblical Greek, and that's something I hope to do one day. I don't really know that well, but if the aim is to learn it, like, that is something I would be very happy with.
Yeah. No, same. I mean, the New Testament written in Greek, the Old Testament, the Septuagint. It's like, and this is, you know, just on that love topic, learning about that for me in my Orthodox journey was like a huge light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And it changed the way I read the Bible, because you come from a very Protestant background and you think, oh, it doesn't matter what language the Bible is in, it's just the word of God. Yeah. I don't need to look at the context. I don't need to look at the actual Greek word. I just got to read it and get the word of God. No. And then I'll be harsh on this. Like, no. Okay. There are verses that have changed their meaning based on what the Greek was, that led me to orthodoxy. So language is not just a preference in orthodoxy. It's not just a cultural thing. It's an integral part of orthodoxy. Not because one culture, nation, or language is better than other, but just history.
Yeah.
Just history. So it is what it is. Alrighty, Gab. So you were baptized into the Greek Orthodox Church as well. And were you raised in the Greek Orthodox Church?
Yes and no. Again, very similar story to Jacob, more so in a traditional aspect.
Yeah.
I had been exposed to it at a younger age, growing up with a single mother, having to be babysat by my uncle. Now, little fact about my uncle, he used to be a monk on Mount Athos. He was a deacon monk.
Your uncle used to be a deacon monk?
on Mount Athos. Then he came to Australia, came back to Australia, and was a deacon. And oftentimes I would be with him running errands. So
At
I
home?
was
In like the area around home and stuff?
yeah. So I had some sort of exposure, but again, I was like 6 years old, very young. I didn't take it in, didn't show as much of appreciation as I could have, because it was just, it wasn't that deep to me at the time. But I did have, like, whether I strayed away or not, I always knew, okay, Jesus Christ is my God, but I never thought about it, like majority of people. And again, very similar story to Jacob. I managed to find my way back through just after years of feeling empty and actually coming back and experiencing the fullness of the church. So it was mainly just tradition at one point in my life.
Can you talk me through practically what it looks like coming back to the church? Is it similar to Jacob, where you kind of just rock up and see Father Philip and he's like, give me your number, let's go for coffee?
No, so it was more that I would attend church service, because I knew what a church service was that would happen every Sunday, but I was so young that I didn't actually remember the whole construction of it. So going back, it's like kind of like visiting your old school or like somebody's house that you haven't been to in years. I used to go to church as a kid. Now that I'm a 20-something-year-old, I can actually see what's going on. And for me, it felt like a sense of nostalgia, because, I'd grown up there, and especially Action, because that was a church that I would go often when I was younger. And being able to be conscious and attending the church, it felt quite nice. And then having somebody like Father Philip, who was young, who spoke English, who had personality, it was just a breath of fresh air.
I bet.
And, having the sermons done in English, I didn't even know what a sermon was. I just thought, this is the part where they're speaking, the speech, this is the speech. And having to look forward to that, when you sit through church for 2 or 3 hours, you hear all this Greek singing, and then this is the part where they're talking to us in English. This is the time where we get to have a lesson, learn something. That was what I was excited for, and especially again having somebody as charismatic as Father Philip. It gave me something to look forward to, and I can't wait to learn this. I can't wait to take this in and apply this to my outside life. It felt amazing.
Yeah, glory to God. That sounds like a beautiful journey. I very much relate to that feeling. It's something I went through of emptiness, where it's like there's nothing to hold on to in this world that actually is stable, that actually stays. Everything just is superficial and ends up leaving, and you're looking for something. And it's a paradox that I always like to bring up to people who aren't Orthodox, aren't religious. It's like everything that you're searching and doing and completing and achieving eventually just withers away, eventually just disappears. One thing for me was worshipping my body. I was very big into gym, into health and fitness. And, I've spoken this a bit. I've spoken about this a bit, how that's great when it's used to glorify God, look after your health. It's terrible to not look after your body. Your body's a gift. But I went quite extreme, and it was like, I have to become the most muscle man ever. Yeah. And eventually I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much muscle I gained, how good my six-pack looked, it's going to disappear. So I very much relate in that kind of aspect there. I know you're big into health and fitness.
Yep.
Do you want to touch on that at all? What that journey been like?
Sure. It was just mainly something to get me out of the bedroom, basically. I had no hobbies, no interests, basically no reason to be awake. I would wake up and just exist, best way to put it. And I was my family at the time were very into fitness, and I never wanted part of it. You know, I lived a very unhealthy lifestyle, to the point where I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? And then I did it, and I realized, okay, I'm seeing some progress. And I actually, with me, if I want to do something, I want to do it properly and see it through. Yeah, go all in. And this is why I count gym for me as a blessing. As you said, if treated correctly.
Absolutely.
It planted the seed in my life of discipline. Back then I was not disciplined. Back then I lived very comfortably. Sometimes saying no to junk food and having, you know, that broccoli is gives you a sense of freedom. Even if it seems restrictive, it actually
you have control over yourself.
Correct.
How freeing is that?
Applying that gym life into something like orthodoxy. Orthodoxy is equally as disciplined.
That's very interesting. So the discipline of the gym probably helped you go into orthodoxy and apply that same kind of rule of discipline.
Correct. And I remember on one of my first confessions with my spiritual father, he said, freedom is not the freedom to have as much chocolate as you want. Freedom is the freedom to be able to say no to that chocolate. And you can apply that to anything. A lot of people think orthodoxy is restrictive. I could disagree and actually say the discipline in orthodoxy is the most freedom I've ever felt. And this is probably the most free I have ever felt. The freedom of forgiving somebody.
That's
how
powerful.
Free you feel afterwards. So, and going back to the gym, that planted that seed of discipline. You know, being able to not succumb to an unhealthy lifestyle, whether it seems enjoyable in the moment or not. Again, as long as it's done responsibly. Not allowing our ego to go through the roof. You know, be humble.
Which in the gym space very much can.
Exactly right. So it's a bit of a, you know, tread carefully kind of situation.
Have a spiritual father, be honest with yourself, and use it to glorify God. And I think it's amazing that this allowed you to step into orthodoxy and already have some discipline going in your life. And see that, because, I mean, the greatest example, which I think anyone could relate to, is the freedom that the gym and diets give. It's like on the surface, taking your body to the gym like 6 days a week and putting it through a lot of strenuous exercise sounds crazy. Forcing yourself to eat certain food sounds crazy. But you feel free. You feel like, hey, I have the power to do that. And, you know, of course, it's not a one-to-one match, but when you look at Orthodox, it's a bit similar. It's like, you know, hey, you need to refrain from doing this, from doing that.
Yep.
And at first, it's like, well, hold on a second. Is freedom not just being able to do as much as whatever I want as possible? Then you actually, by God's grace, refrain from certain things. And it's like, wow, this is very freeing. And so you're back at the church. Is there ever like a one moment where you're like, wow, why did I never see orthodoxy like this in this light?
Through the sermons, there was because I think a lot of people, like myself, when I was growing up, I thought, you know, every priest was closed-minded, every priest spoke Greek, never smiled and whatever. And then after meeting Father Philip and listening to Father Philip, there was one sermon that changed my whole perspective on everything. And because I was attending church, and I would stand there for, you know, 2 hours or so, you know, like standing there, like praying, like, is anything going to happen yet? Like, when am I going to see this Christ? You know, when's Christ going to appear to me?
Yeah. When am I going to see the golden light? You know?
Sure. Yeah. And then it was at that point where Father Philip made a sermon, and he said, if you think coming to church for 2 hours is gonna do something to you, you know, and you're gonna just live the rest, like your other 22 hours a day on, and every other day, just nothing.
6 days a week, you know, just Sunday, come
Exactly
to church,
right.
every other day, cool.
You don't expect anything to happen. you will see Christ when you learn to see Christ in everyone, in your neighbor.
Yeah.
Even in the bad person, the person that you see as bad, even in the junkie, even in the prostitute, even in the worst of the worst, see Christ in everyone. And once I heard that, I'm like, okay, let's give it a go. And once I was more forgiving to these people and wasn't as judgmental to them, I started, not saying I saw the holy light or whatever, but I again, the sweetness of honey. I can't describe it. It's just something that you have to experience in order to describe. And from then on, it's unexplainable.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing.
It is. And I think that's the most beautiful part of orthodoxy, and it distinguishes orthodoxy from a lot of other things, especially a lot of other Christian faiths. When you come to orthodoxy, there's a huge emphasis on the experience and the mystery. And the way that you have this experience and the way that you see this mystery is through following Christ, through listening to the sermon of a priest who's explained what it means to follow Christ, and then going out and doing it. So you had Father Philip explain how part of following Christ is seeing Christ in everyone, and especially the people who are the most invisible, low people who are sick, who are sinful, especially seeing Christ in them. And you have that experience then of following Christ, where Christ comes in and helps those who want to follow him. And so it's so beautiful to hear that, that you listen to a sermon of a priest, you were like, well, that sounds like truth. I feel like I'm experiencing truth here. You went and applied it, and everything kind of came full circle. Just trying to get a time frame, how long ago was this sermon, if you can remember?
When I started coming into church, so I'd say 2023.
Yeah, so 3 years ago. Okay. And throughout the last 3 years, what has that journey been like?
Up and down, of course, because it's the journey in orthodoxy is not a smooth sailing road. You have to deny yourself, and that's another sermon that the bishop actually. I heard from the bishop. One of the first sermons I heard from him was denying yourself. Doesn't mean to hate yourself. It doesn't mean to beat up yourself. It just means the self that Christ doesn't want you to be. Learn to say no to it. And be your best self, basically. So that whole journey, like this 3-year journey, is a war. You're battling yourself. Warfare. Yeah, your spiritual warfare. You're battling yourself. There are times where I want to be angry at something. I feel like the problems that I face are more complex.
Yeah.
But with Christ, it's tolerable.
Yeah.
And the
Christ gives a way through, a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. And the emphasis is we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
So
say that louder.
Yeah.
Because we live in a society that says, you can do it alone. Yeah, you don't need anyone.
Be the boss.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, addressing the main topic, especially towards a lot of girls today. I have a sister, and they're constantly being preached that, you need to be on top of the world, you need to be the best of the best, and you don't need anyone. And it's not that you need someone, it's that God made it so people need each other. God made it so that when men and women are together, just on that specific topic, things are better. Men need women need men. When they're together, things are amazing. Yeah? Guys need to be around other guys for friends, for spiritual fathers, for family. We're not meant to be in this by itself. And, I'll say very bluntly, I think the devil has done very well at convincing people that you need to shut yourself up in your room, never go outside, never see the eyes of anyone, and never go out and seek advice from anyone, encouragement from anyone, and just completely be by yourself. And not just that, but you'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, you'll get everything you want. And our modern Western society has made that possible. You can literally live a life without ever leaving your house. Yeah? Things like Uber Eats for food, for Netflix, entertainment. It's very, very sad. And while, just on this whole topic, bit of a tangent at the moment, but while technology, has made so many things good, like we get to do this podcast, we're made to be outside. We're made to be in real social interactions, and know that if you're out there, this isn't just orthodoxy specific. This is just everyone's life. Don't be afraid to ask for help from people who are there to help, from spiritual fathers, from friends. And this is something I love about orthodoxy, okay? When I came to the Orthodox Church, there were a lot of questions I had, a lot of concerns that I felt were very minor, very minuscule, and would be a waste of a priest's time. Now, maybe that was true, maybe that wasn't. But the beauty of orthodoxy was that the only person who was there to help me wasn't just the priest. I had other lay people, I had people who had been Orthodox longer than myself. People who may not even be in the best position to help me with problems, but could just have ears to listen. So anyone out there who's, interested, who's looking for help, looking for social interactions, know that life is so much better when you come to the Orthodox Church, when you get to surround yourself with other Orthodox like-minded people, girls and guys. Surround yourself with a priest. What has that been like for you, Gab? Because you don't just come to the church, but you also get opened up to a whole new community. I mean, I can only imagine, how much it strengthened your relationship with someone like Jacob, with John, knowing that you guys just aren't friends, knowing that you guys haven't just known each other for so long, that you share such a beautiful faith.
It's absolutely surreal. Like, I was very antisocial beforehand, doing something like this.
Yeah, now you're on a podcast,
couldn't
man.
even think
What
about
progression that is.
Exactly. It's just the whole community. Like, it's like a whole community of people. Like, going to like a Greek festival, for example, and just like looking around everywhere, smiles, shaking hands. It's a beautiful thing. We all have a common goal. We all have common interest. We all have something in common. And yes, okay, we're different people, but we can relate with one thing, and the thing we relate on is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. The friends you make along the way, you can't explain it. Like, I've made friends other than, Jacob and John that I've known for only 3 years that I've been here, that I can consider these people, I've God willing, that they will be with me till the end.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
You literally get like some of your best friends. Like, even one of my other friends, like, we met not long ago, like literally maybe a year, we're like best friends. And not like a girl way of, best friends. And then
BFFs.
No, I'm talking about like proper. Like, I see this bloke like being part of the groom's party. Like,
yeah. And you get to talk about deep topics and you're not afraid. I mean, look, I know before Orthodoxy, speaking about something about religion or spirituality with a friend was like a no-go zone.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys relate, especially amongst
'cause
men.
You don't want to sound like too preachy.
Yeah.
And also, like, it feels like you're just boring them. Like, with some of your friends, like, have you ever felt like you're hearing them chat about something, and do you ever feel like, what am I doing here? Like, is that happen to you guys? Like, that happens to me all the time sometimes.
All throughout high school.
Yeah.
All throughout high school. And, not that, like, I'm so much better than these people. God has made all of us different.
Yeah.
But, you come to Orthodoxy and no matter what, that there's that one interest that you can talk about endlessly.
Yeah. But it's like, for example, if I was to say, like, if there was a conversation about Tinder, for example, I have nothing to relate to. I can't speak to them about it sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel sometimes. But then with Orthodoxy, like, it's not just like this, a whole... You could write, there's literally millions of books on this. Like, you can talk for a lifetime.
Yeah. Have you had a similar experience, Gab, with friends in the past before Orthodoxy? I mean, to ask some maybe difficult questions, have there been people either of you have had to cut off since stepping properly into Orthodoxy?
Look, even the priests say you shouldn't cut off per se, because I've tried to look at it from their point of view. You know, they've known me for the longest, and then out of nowhere, you know, this Gab guy has joined a church, and now he has a whole 180 with his personality. Like, from their point of view, because they don't understand it, I don't blame them for being a bit apprehensive towards it. But, you know, at the same time, there is a line of respect. I've got, you know, Muslim friends, I've got atheist friends. So long as they are respectful and, you know, I am respectful towards them, I don't see personally anything wrong with that. Yeah,
that's probably encouraged to a degree.
Of course.
Because it widens your worldview.
Well,
you learn
exactly
that there's
right.
people who don't think the same way you think.
And if I can just cut them off, that's just going to make you know, orthodoxy look bad.
Of course.
In a way.
Yeah, 'cause that's the first thing they'll blame.
Yeah.
Oh, the church took my friend away.
Yeah, you obviously don't want. How about for you, Jacob? What's that been like with friends? All
Look,
that?
With my friends, like I still, and this may be when my job kicks in, like I still see a lot of them as well, but I do get it sometimes like, oh, Jacob's not fun anymore. You know, oh, Jacob's changed. And it's like, is that a bad thing though? But also, I'm sorry I'm not the person you met, but let's meet
again.
Be friends. You know what I mean? And yes, my priorities or my timeline, my schedule may change, but it's like I can go a whole year without seeing you. When I see you, we'll still be friends. Like, it's like nothing's changed. Sometimes, like our conversations and, you know, how the love you have for them as a friend, that doesn't change. Like, you may just not disagree with them, but it's still that person.
If anything, that sometimes grows when you can look a friend in the eye and say, hey, I disagree with you about something that's very important to me, but I still like chatting with you.
Yeah.
That's a strong relationship. I mean, that's the strongest relationship, you know? There's probably no weaker relationship than someone who you entirely get along with. Because then the second something...
Also, if they're... what I've noticed is, if they're, let's just say their friendship may be a bit harder for you. Like, for me, sometimes, some of my friends, it may be a bit harder for me now. I still love them from afar. Like, that... Don't think that because I'm, you know, a bit more busier or sorry, bro, I can't hang on Sunday, I got church. Doesn't mean I don't love you or it doesn't mean I still don't consider you a friend. It's just, we just have a life.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do when you have kids?
Yeah.
Family?
Yeah.
Events?
I'm very curious, what's it like from both of your worldviews over the last few years, seeing orthodoxy from a more broader perspective? Have you noticed like an actual increase in converts, an actual change?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There was 9 News came to our church on the Vespers of Love.
The one Sunday I don't come.
Yeah. It's literally for you guys through the converts. Every person came, they said the gospel in different languages, and 9 News came, they gave us an interview, and they asked me, like, what does this service mean to you? And I had, like, a few converts, like, next to me. Like, we had, like, Makarios.
Yeah, so Makarios, May.
Like, we had Clement Pascal from, like, Makarios is Malaysian, sorry. And Pascal was German.
Yep, who's now Clement.
Yeah, we had May, who's also Czech Republic.
Yeah.
You know, we had a few converts.
The world.
And I said, like, you know, orthodoxy is for everyone. Like Christ is for everyone.
We don't just say that. It's happening.
It's like,
we have people
to them. Like,
who are not
converts.
Greek. Yeah, we have people who are not Greek at a Greek Orthodox church where 90% of it is in Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And Makarios does better Greek than, like, I'd say all three of us combined.
Definitely. He puts everyone to shame.
When he did the creed in Greek, I was on the chancellor and I'm just like...
Was that on the Sunday of Agape?
No. That was his baptism.
That was his baptism. He did it in Greek?
He did the creed in Greek and I'm just like, bravo, bro. That's crazy. Like, shout out Makarios.
Yeah. For those who don't know, that was the Malaysian man in the first episode who, God willing, I'll get back on.
Yeah, like, that was crazy. I was just like, I looked at Gab, I'm like,
Yeah. Our point just being they're, just on that topic, I mean, that's like the best example of how language isn't just contained within a certain group of people. And, when I have Makarios back on, I'll be able to speak exactly on this. And he will be able to tell all of us how beautiful the Greek language is and how it's not just this thing for the Greek people. Like that wasn't an idea when the Greek language was at its peak during, the first 1,000 years AD. And how he'll be able to talk about, so many things. Reg was able to speak about, although, he leans, of course, a lot more to the English side, he was able to still admit, hey, there's some beautiful parts of the Greek language that, you don't learn about. Why do you think there's such an explosion in converts, Jacob?
Exposure, of course. New generation, too. Also, the lack of direction. I love to say that, like, our parents' generation, like, a lot of people call them the lost generation. But then also, like, the lost will also, like, they're lost already.
So, like, the children of the lost will be even loster.
like the kids, if they're lost, their kids will be lost. It's just how it is. Like, it's not, like, it just happens. But then kids are curious. Like, young people are very curious.
Shocking.
Like, they'll look for it. They don't care if, like, some people travel ages to church as well. Like, our church, like, Gav lives in Epping, half an hour distance. I live 5 minutes. I'm blessed. But it's, people will take that distance. Like, Clements lives far from church as well. But not only that, like, with distance, like, they'll search far and wide for a place that they can see is home. Like, it's just whatever fits you.
Yeah. And that's the power of truth. What do you think, Gab? Why do you think there's, like, what's that experience like seeing some Asian dude rock up to the Greek Orthodox Church, seeing some Czech girl?
So welcoming.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something that from years ago I would never have ever thought would ever be even perceived.
Yeah. So talk me through that. Like, back in your childhood, the idea of there being people here who aren't Greek, was that just like, nah?
I couldn't even, like, think about it. That couldn't even be a thought in my brain.
Wow.
So even just seeing that, it's so beautiful. And, and the fact that they're so welcoming, they're not being judged, oh, you don't speak Greek, get out of here, that type of thing. It's, they're being welcomed, and it is beautiful. And we need to do that. We need to be welcoming to people in the church that look different to us. I'm a guy covered in tattoos, for example. So if you see somebody that looks like they probably wouldn't be at a church, embrace them, take them in.
Yeah, and they tend to be some of the best people you've met. I tell you firsthand, two people with tattoos. I imagine, a couple 100 years ago, don't go anywhere near the church.
Actually, there was an archbishop, though, that was very, like, famous for, like, in Greece. He was very famous for saying, like, you've got piercings, still come. You got tattoos, come. And a lot of people still talk about him to this day. I unfortunately forgot his name, but he's like, But there's still the fact that people remember that archbishop for specifically saying that speech, like in Greece. Like that's welcoming to us because me and Gab, like, let's be honest, in church at the start, we copped the stares from the oldies.
Yeah.
That's just stock standard though.
That's, don't we all?
Like
young bloke.
It's just gonna happen, but you learn to, like, like, I laugh at that now. If the oldie stares at me, I just, like, laugh and I'm like, all right.
Well, we're very different. And this is something, as I've come to the Orthodox Church, which, is still made up of a lot of older people. It's like, wow, I'm from a whole, not just different country from you, but a whole different culture, tradition, language. But all you got to do is just say good morning to them.
Yeah.
Yeah? All you got to do is just say Christos Anesti.
Yeah. And do you see how happy they get too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when, like...
let's talk about Makarios again.
Yeah.
Who has entire conversations with these old Greek men and women.
Yeah. But have you ever noticed you trying to say, like, Christ is risen in other language, so, like, Arabic or, like, Russian per se? Like, do you see how happy they get?
Oh, yeah.
I butcher it as well. Like, I butcher like the Arabic. I tried to say El Masikon.
Yep.
Like, I still butchered it just then, but they just smile and they're like, thanks, man, like that. Even though I butchered it.
Yeah.
They're happy to hear it.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. And this is something I'm always going to preach on this podcast is orthodoxy and culture and tradition and language are one. It's basically impossible to find a Orthodox church that just has, like, no culture, language, tradition tied. That doesn't exist. That is not a bad thing. That's a blessing. That's a gift.
Yeah.
The fact that I can go to the Greek Orthodox Church and be exposed to a different language, a different culture, a different tradition, then go to the Russian Orthodox Church. Once again, different culture, tradition, language. I went to the Antiochian Orthodox Church 2 weeks ago. My first time listening to Arabic being sung, not in an Islamic manner. You know how beautiful that was?
I've been to the Paraklesis as well. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Why would I want everything to just be English, English, English? I wouldn't. There can be that corner for people who want that and, you know, that's what they want. Absolutely. But we should absolutely always view this as an absolute blessing that we can go all over and just experience so many different cultures, so many different traditions. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful and it's something I'm always going to talk about because a lot of people come to Orthodoxy and, you know, this is something I'd love to ask you both. You know, I have a lot of friends, I'm sure you do too, who aren't Orthodox, who have no idea what Orthodoxy is. Now, you two have been Orthodox for me a lot longer. So I want to ask you, Gab, you have a friend, I imagine, have you ever had someone in your life who's like, what's Orthodoxy?
Of course.
Yeah. What's that conversation like? Is it come and see? Do you do a bit of explaining?
I try not to over-explain because I don't want to overwhelm them. But like, usually when you think of a Christian, you think of a Catholic because it's more broadcasted and it's just the classic thing. So when somebody's like, what's Orthodoxy? I usually just explain it as it's like the very ancient church. Like, because you have to, I try to like explain it in layman's terms.
Of course.
Just like, this is what, because I can say to them, this is the church that the apostles taught and
the one
everything.
holy Catholic apostolic church and their creed.
Then they'll be like, okay, but what's wrong with the Catholics? And then like, I don't want to get into a whole tangent about that. So you can do a bit of both. You know, if you are curious enough, come and see. There is a reason why we do everything a certain way. You know, it's not by coincidence. There is a reason for everything. But again, you just can't overwhelm them because it's, you know, if somebody's explaining something to me that I'm curious about and then they just go in like 10 paragraphs, I'm going to be like, okay, well, this is a bit much. I'm getting a bit overstimulated. I might just like give it a rest. Yeah.
And that's something and that's part of the reason I started this podcast was because, you know, the theology, the history, all of that's great and necessary. But what we want as humans at our core is connection with others.
It's a lived experience.
Yeah, and this is why a lot of people go to church. You know, like I can sit here and say you should go to church because of the theology and the history and the spirituality. But a lot of people just are lonely, especially in this modern day society. And this is why a lot of people go to these jam-packed non-Orthodox churches. You know, there's some names I can bring up, which I won't. I'll refrain for another day. There's some jam-packed non-Orthodox churches where people, you know, theology aside, man, you're welcomed. Man, there's, you know, parties, this, that. It's like, you know, say whatever you want about the theology, but you'll find a friendship there.
Yeah.
You'll find connection.
You have 10 people saying, hello, how are you?
Say that again?
You have 10 people saying like, hello, how are you? Like,
yeah.
I don't know, it's, but the thing is like with church, like they're entertained there.
Yeah.
And like,
is it entertainment or is it sacrifice?
Yeah.
And this is where we get into like the theology stuff. But this is why I've started this podcast. So we can have the theology, we can have the correct history, but then we can also show the social connections. We can show that there are people like yourselves who people can go up to and talk to, you know, unless you guys don't want people to come up to you, you know?
Anyone's welcome.
Yeah. And you can say, hey, man, can you help me learn a bit more in a casual manner? Because not everyone wants to go straight to a priest or a bishop.
Of course.
Yeah. And you can go up to someone and say, hey, can you teach me a bit about this, about that from a layman perspective? And this is something that's so beautiful about Orthodoxy that I didn't realize till I stepped into the Orthodox Church was it's not just every Sunday.
No.
There's the Panegyri, there's the youth night, there's the Greek classes, there's the Greek dance lessons.
There's also the initiatives too. Like there's also Agape Care. There's also like Our Daily
Shelter.
Bread.
Yeah.
You know, like
Children's hospital visits.
That's true. The pastoral visits and everything.
Yeah. This is everything you're looking for in the world found within the Orthodox Church. Because this is what people want anyway when they're not in the Orthodox Church. They look for these hobbies and these initiatives that they can be a part of because we know that we're made for this, and we come to the Orthodox Church and find it.
And we actually spoke about this briefly at youth group the other day. Those initiatives is basically the Orthodox way of spreading the gospel. One of the questions were, why don't Orthodoxy go out there and go door knocking? Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? These initiatives are us doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was a saint or a monk or whoever said, our goal is to spread the gospel, but to use as little words as possible.
Yeah.
We do it with actions.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. Jacob, I want to ask you about, if you want to touch on lightly, what it's like studying theology. What in the world is theology? Is that an actual thing? Like, can people go and study theology?
And now you're going back to one of my essays. Actually,
Was that an actual study essay you did?
So one of my first essays was like theology as a lived experience. It's not just like you can read as many books as you want, but then you'd be a cool librarian.
Yeah. And this is true theology.
Yeah.
True theology is the monks of Mount Athos. True theology is an actual experience.
Yeah, true theology is just simply helping the homeless guy too.
There you go.
You know what I mean? True theology is, and a lot of people run away from it. It's just simply asking someone, "How are you?"
Yeah.
You have to live it, engage in the sacraments. You go to church. You build a connection with people. That is how you encounter Christ. It's exactly as Gab said before as well. Theology is an invitation that God lays out for you.
Theology is an invitation that God lays out for you.
Yeah, and it's you wanting to accept it and say, I do want to learn about you. Not just study of God.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
And have you found, as you kind of formally study theology, you're beginning to learn that theology is, as you said, helping the homeless man?
Yeah, it's actually funny. The more I learn, the more I realize, holy crap, I'm the sinner.
Yeah.
So, take it with, a bit of, take your time. When you learn these things, for example, I'm doing liturgics right now.
Liturgics, which is?
Just liturgy. Yeah. Learning about liturgy,
which is the prayer. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't know what liturgy even means.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And, for me, it's... I learn all these facts the lecturers told us, and I'm just holy crap, that's really good. How do I not know this my whole life? But then also later I go to church, and I'm oh yeah, so that's when we do that.
You make that connection.
Yeah, straight away. You're literally living out your course in front of you, not after you finish and you get a job. You are living the course every single week when you go to church.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And
you get taught every Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another revision class. And keep in mind, I still make mistakes, but then also it's holy crap, I should have, I'd literally just learned that in the lecture. I should have done this.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I'm in the altar, Gab's on the chain stand, you've been coming to the altar lately. You just take your time, you learn, you observe as well. And it's just, that's really more I can say.
Yeah. No, it's always simple is best.
Yeah.
Not just is best, but it is.
Yeah.
That is the
reality. I have to literally, just simplify. It's just simply theology is an invitation from God to learn about Him.
I love that.
Our constant wanting to.
I love to. So it's not memorizing the 7 ecumenical councils and all the canons and the hypostasis economy of the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
No, it's not that.
Well, you do need to learn it. But if you ask me to bring those up right now, I'll be
no, I'm joking. I'm just emphasizing a mistake that I made in my journey, which was thinking that once I memorized all the 7 ecumenical councils, I'd have everything. I'd know everything. Wait, actually, no, it's the other way around.
Hey, a lot of converts come and they just know more than us.
Yeah.
And I just sit there and laugh. I'm just God bless you, man. This is amazing. Because that's one thing of us as I'd say just reverts or returners or whatever. You just see literally you guys you all look up all this stuff. You go to catechism. Even I went to catechism too, but just to refresh myself a little bit. But simply just seeing you guys come in, already learn, you have this zeal, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
And then I'll make a mistake the 5th ecumenical council was about this, and he's well, no, it's actually this. I'm That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, well, glory to God.
Yeah, it's
And
mad.
I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I think it's this beautiful thing in Orthodoxy where converts need what you might consider returners or cradle Orthodox Christians, and then cradle/returners need converts.
Yeah.
As a convert, it helps you become a bit more mature.
Yeah.
Realize that you don't need to go out and learn 7 ecumenical councils to be in the church.
Yeah.
And then as returners, cradles, you rub off a bit on that zeal. You know, you get to see, wow, there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
You know, and it inspires you.
Yeah, we learn from you guys too. Like,
Definitely.
like a lot of converts have asked me, like, what do you do in this situation, or what do you do in that?
Yep.
First of all, I always say, go speak to your spiritual father or priest.
Yep.
But it's more, I can give him my experience because I've failed that much.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
can tell you, like, I've done this wrong. Maybe you can try this.
Yeah.
But then also, then you can go tell me what the 6 ecumenical councils are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just
Yeah.
practical stuff. Like, I might know the 6 ecumenical councils, whatever,
Yeah.
but I might not know when to hold the candle at this time, or what in the world I say in Greek at this point.
Yeah.
That only someone who's been in the church might know.
Yeah.
So it's this beautiful balance between cradle and convert, which I
Yeah.
love, which plays out so beautifully, in Orthodoxy. To kind of wrap up, I want to ask you, Gab, what your hope is for Orthodoxy in Australia. Do you hope it just continues to grow?
Of course.
Yeah.
I hope Orthodoxy is continued to grow. I hope it gets bigger and better. I hope the people in it, when you find something that you know is the truth, sometimes it's easy to have that sense of entitlement. I hope for people to be humble when you find the truth and you see somebody not living that truth, to look at them with love. I want there to be a world where everyone is loving. These days, easier said than done. When you find the truth, have patience, be patient. I've made that mistake myself of having unrealistic expectations on people. Sometimes I want to just grab my family and just shake them a bit, saying,
Yeah.
this is so
Wake
good.
up,
Like,
open your
wake
eyes.
up.
What are you doing? Yeah.
But if that happened to me, I would myself would have been turned off.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah. So you would say to anyone out there who may have family who's not Orthodox, there's a lot of examples like that, a lot of converts.
yeah,
You'd say to them, just be patient, be humble,
pray on it.
pray on it.
Yeah, so I have hope that Orthodoxy keeps growing, but it will only keep growing if we are loving, humble, and patient.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
all you
God
can
will do the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And yourself, Jacob?
So what I hope for is more, I hope things just keep going the way they are. We've got great clergy, we've got great people, we've got a great archbishop as well, and bishops too. Like, I hope to just see, like, just keep living, keep having converts,
Yeah.
keep having more. Like, I would love to see a lot of our friends that are Greek as well come back to the church too. I'd love to see that. But, just like how Gav said, patience, accepting people as they are, not who you want them to be.
Accepting people as they are, not who you want them to be.
Accepting or who they used to be as well. Just keep going.
Any last topics, stories you want to share with myself and the audience before we wrap up?
Well, I guess another thing about Mount Athos, we had the blessing to go into the altar of Aussies, like in there, and we got to see the actual icon itself. So that was unreal.
So
That
this
was
is like
amazing.
the icon, like the one the replicas are made
the
of.
icon.
Yeah.
And not only that, like St. Baisios' heart, like just little things like on Mount Athos that are that amazing. Just like if you ever go, highly suggest going.
Did you get to go up to St. Paisios' hut?
Yeah, inside.
Yeah, I got to go inside. What was that like? Was that an offer? Or we were just like, hey, can we go see St. Paisios' hat?
They literally gave us the free time. I was like, yeah, go walk there.
Yeah.
And it was a nice walk too. Go through like literal mountain and like the bush. And then you go inside and there's like the hut there. And then there's a monk there that's just saying, all right, 8 people in, 8 people out.
Wow, 8 people at a time.
Yeah.
Was it a line?
A little bit. That wasn't too bad when we went.
Yeah.
There was also a little church in there too, which was really cool.
Yeah, nice.
And I got to see where St. Baisios would just sit. Like, literally.
What's that like? Because I imagine, he's the patron saint of Australia.
Yeah.
We have an icon everywhere. We've read his councils. Wow. I'm just where he was at.
Yeah, literally, just there. And then the monks just, like, excited to see people.
Yeah.
Even being on Mount Athos and
Glory to
seeing the
God.
relics.
Yeah.
St. John Chrysostom's skull or the belt of
Funny,
the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
Like, insane.
Alrighty, well, that's been a fun episode. We'll definitely have to do a part 2.
Definitely.
Because I feel like each of the topics we spoke about could have been put into a whole podcast.
Oh, 100%.
And we need John.
Yes. John, if you're watching this, which I really highly doubt you're
John.
watching the very last minute of this podcast, we'll probably have to clip it out and show it straight to you. We'll hopefully get you on. And, that kind of brings me back to what I was saying what I said in the first episode, I said it in the second, I'll say it now. You're Orthodox, you're Australian. Come on. You have a story to share and it will help people. It's so beautiful how much we can use technology to leverage our stories and how just this can reach someone out there who maybe will hear about Mount Athos for the first time. And maybe we'll go on the internet and find that 60 minutes video, which if you're at home, go and watch, explaining what Mount Athos is. And maybe that then inspires you to look at some Athonite monks, which then leads you to St. Paisios, which then opens up a can of worms, which God willing will bring you to the Holy Orthodox faith. So thank you very, very much for watching. Once again, Christ is risen, Christos Anesti, and we will see you in the next episode. Put it back.
Sweet smell of shepherd's pie. Yep. Do you know that story, Bart?
What?
The sweet smell of the shepherd's pie.
The shepherd's pie.
So, there was a pre-sanctified liturgy, and I had to do the prayers at the end.
Yeah.
You know how today you said stored up the treasures of generosity, as you teach with your words, Father John Chrysostom.
Yeah.
That prayer.
Yeah.
There's one for the person who wrote the pre-sanctified. It's like they say Pope, but it's like Patriarch Gregory.
Yeah.
Not the Gregory, the theologian, another one.
Yep.
And it's meant to be this sweet sound of the shepherd's pipe.
Yeah.
I was like half asleep and I said, "This sweet smell of the shepherd's pipe."
Well, like Father Philip's doing.
Father, bishop, all the altar boys, and everyone's just like, wait, what? And I'm like, oh yeah, true.